Hey, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. And I bet you I don't have to ask twice of any of you if you have ever heard of the iconic song Cats in the Cradle. Of course, we're talking about the song that spans generations by the late, great Harry Chapin, who was taken from us far too soon. As you recall, a couple years ago, I interviewed one of his daughters, Jen Chapin, and now proud to say that I have talked to the producer, director, for another documentary on Harry Chapin, actually about one of his songs called Cats in the Cradle, the song that changed our lives. And boy, has it. How many of you have heard that song, especially if you're a baby boomer and you obviously, most of us have kids, and we hear that song and it makes us think twice. I think it's probably one of the very few songs of our generation that truly changed lives at a molecular level. Yes, we've heard songs about peace, we've heard songs about anti-war, we've heard songs about love, romantic love. But what about a song that talks about how we relate to our family members? And what a powerful song that was. Well, this documentary goes into it, interviews people who have, were impacted by that song. And Rick shares a lot with us about the making of that documentary. It's going to be available on Amazon, and you can buy the DVD too. I have a trailer of the documentary on the webpage where this interview will be embedded if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the podcast channel. You can go to boomerocity.com and you'll find the Rick Korn interview. And you go to that page and you'll see the trailer. You'll see the interview itself. It's the same as watching on YouTube, and a link to where you can buy the DVD for your own viewing library. That's what I recommend, because I think we should have our DVDs instead of just stream all the time. But while you're watching this, if you're a Harry Chapin fan, or just love good documentaries, or just love hearing interviews from people tied into the music of our lives, then I encourage you to hit like. And if you're not already a Boomerocity subscriber on this channel, please hit subscribe. I'm not going to charge you any extra for it, but it does help us out a lot if you do subscribe. And also, if you don't mind, would you share this interview with any of your friends who you think might enjoy the interview, and ask them to do the same, to hit like and subscribe. So without any further ado, here is my first interview with Rick Korn, and I kind of have a suspicion we'll be talking more in the future. So until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care. Hello, Rick. I can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. So, well, thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Where are you clicking in from?
I live in Laguna Niguel, California. Are you familiar with? Okay. It's in Orange County. It's in the southern part of the county. About an hour from Los Angeles as the bird flies, and about anywhere from 2 hours to 4 days as you drive on the 45.
I see traffic hasn't improved any since I was last in Southern Cal. So
it has not.
I've been to Newport Beach one time decades ago. I was working for a private educational institution, and we had a meeting. I forget what the hotel was, but man, the views were amazing, looking out over the ocean and all that. I mean, my Lord, I just can't remember where it was, but it was over 40 years ago since I had been there. But to that part of Southern Cal, I've been to Southern Cal, other parts a lot, all over California, in fact. But it's been a while still since my last trip there. So
it is quite beautiful here. We're south of Newport Beach.
Okay.
So you got Newport, and then Laguna Beach, and then Laguna Niguel and Dana Point and so forth. But it's a pretty place to live. We're New Yorkers and from New Jersey, so we miss the East Coast, but it is a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is a beautiful place. I look forward to being back out that way some to visit and look around and that kind of thing. But well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this documentary. I was a Harry Chapin fan from back when he was still alive, and I still remember being in the car hearing on the radio when he was tragically taken from us. And so when I saw the one documentary out on him. Now I can't remember. Did you have any dealings with that documentary from a year or two ago, or?
Yeah, from 2020. Yes, I
Yeah.
directed and wrote that. And,
Okay.
it's a different kind of a different take on Harry. It's more about him as a father, him as a songwriter, him and his wife as songwriters, and of course the impact of the song.
Right, right. So how, let's start with that. What inspired you to make this documentary, and what led up to making this happen?
Well, when we did the first Harry film, When in Doubt, Do Something, we did a scene on Cats in the Cradle. It was this #1 hit. It was, big song. There's a lot of pop culture around that song, from sitcoms and films and, other multiple artists doing the song. And we loved doing that scene. And we said, at some point, there's a film there just
Mm-hmm.
on that song alone, and really about the power of the song. And we recognized it then, and went, after we were done with that film, went and worked on another film called The Father's Promise. And after that was over, we got together with Jason Chapin, who's our co-producer on this, and said, I think there's a film. Originally we said, well, maybe it's a short film, but then when you get into it, you get into the story and understand the impact that the song has had on so many people. That's when we said, I think there's a really important story to tell, and in doing that, there's a kind of a dual importance to the song. Certainly, it shows the power of a song, and how it moves people and changes people and affects their lives. But it also gave Harry the platform to start his hunger charities.
Yeah.
And if Cats in the Cradle didn't exist, why hunger wouldn't exist? And to this day, that organization is helping millions and millions of people a month. More
Wow.
important now than ever. So it just, the power of what a song can do and accomplish, and Harry was the right person to take that platform and turn it into something really important and big.
It is. I mean that song. I mean, first two notes of the guitar, you know what's coming. Well,
Yeah,
that's the sign to me of a great song, and I mean, so challenging. And for me, and that's one of the reasons, Rick, why I do what I do is because of the music. For us baby boomers, we hear those great songs and we flash back 40, 50, 60 years, and those songs still have an impact on us. And then when you have a rare gem like Cats in the Cradle, wow. I mean, songwriters would kill to be able to have that one song that can define them or spotlight their whole entire career. And what did the song mean to you personally before we get into the documentary and some of the things that went into it? How did the song touch you?
that's a great question. That, it's funny. Here we made this film and interviewed all these people, artists and regular people, fans, and I never thought of it in those terms for myself. I've never kind of thrown the same questions that I've asked to people, but the song has a double meaning. My father was a good father. He worked hard and a lot. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, kind of the older more traditional way of American families back then, right? As us boomers are. So it didn't have that initial effect in that regard. But when I became a father, and I throw the same questions on myself, that I asked other people, and I throw that on myself, it really gave me some pause, and I kind of broke down I have 3 children. I've got 6 granddaughters. But it was interesting because I was at different phases of my career, at different times with my kids, right? So my oldest one probably saw me the least, because I was at a point in my career. I was young and starting this young family, and I was commuting into New York City, and I was traveling and doing all the things that you do to help support your family, and that does take away from time with your children, and that I had to look at it from that perspective. My oldest daughter didn't get as much of me as my son, who's my youngest, because I was at different points of my life and my career. And quite honestly, I did start to realize that, I need to, spend more time at home, probably towards my third child, because I realized, hey, this isn't going to happen again, and you want to be there for all the sporting events and all those major things. So I always made a concerted effort to make sure that I was there for the important moments in my kids' lives, even my oldest one. But I do recognize that, just trying to make ends meet, like so many families are doing today, those sacrifices, and now, I think we point out in the film, now it's the moms. That song is about the dad in the story, but and the son, but it really is the moms now, and the daughters, and they're the ones going to work too, and they have to juggle being a mom, and we do cover that. Probably not enough, but we do cover that in the film.
It is a reflection on society, and I think it does give attention to that stress point we all face as parents of, like you were just saying, weighing out providing, being a good provider. And, from the caveman days, we've been wired to go out and, you know, now it's bring home the bacon. Back then it's bring home the dinosaur, I guess. But we were expected to provide and to protect, and it's hard to know where that line is of where we got to just go, hey, enough's enough, and so how much participation you mentioned. I'm assuming that was Harry's son, correct? That you're working with.
Yes, Jason Chapin
Jason.
is one of Harry's sons. There's three sons. There's Jonna, who's the oldest, Jason in the middle, and then Josh is known as the Cats in the Cradle kid because he was the youngest at the time the song came out. Yeah.
I see. I would imagine there's been some kidding around about how much of the estate he should get because it was all about him, right?
True. Well, it wasn't about him. That's a little bit of a misnomer because he was always there on stage with Harry towards the end. The song was written by Sandy Chapin, his wife. The lyrics were written by Sandy. And Sandy, the song is about Sandy's first husband's father, who was that father in that song. And the son, her first husband, became that guy, became just like his father to his kids, which were the first 3 kids. Sandy had 3 kids with him, and then 2 kids with Harry, but Harry adopted the first 3. They don't even, know their father. Harry is absolutely, their father and took over 100%, with that.
Yeah.
So the song is about that, but the reality is the song is about all of us, right?
Yeah.
We're all a little bit of that dad, or a little bit of, if you're a mom, you recognize that what we were just talking about, that where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough. It's easier to be a grandfather, right? Or a grandparent.
I
Um,
don't know yet, but I'm hoping to know soon.
well, for me, it's easier because all you have to do is supply the love, and the rest of the hard work is the parents do. But it's important also to be a good grandfather. If you have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How involved was the family in shaping this film up?
Very involved, all of them. Of the five kids, Sandy, of course, his two brothers, Tom and Steve, um, have all, they're all in the film. All the
Hmm.
kids and the two brothers are in the film, of course, Sandy. It was really important for this film to get the kids' perspective, because they each have a different view of Harry, from as a father. He was on the road a lot.
Hmm.
The film really gets into his head. Like, he says at one point, I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my wife. I can't be Uncle Daddy, anymore.
Hmm.
So, he was referring to himself, but it was he was reflecting on that, and I think
Hmm.
that's what you know made Harry so human. And that's what makes the song work, right? Because he delivers it as if he's that dad, but really spent his life, battling against not being that dad, which was
Yeah.
nearly impossible. I mean, he had his music career. He was had his activism with hunger and poverty. He was on the presidential committee for to prevent hunger and poverty. And he was in Washington. We tracked him one day for the first film that we did on him. He did a concert in New Hampshire, had another concert the following night, but woke up in the morning, drove to Boston, got on a flight from Boston to Maryland, did a morning show in Maryland, local morning show. Then did another morning show in Chicago, flew to Long Island, back to Long Island, went to one of the kids' soccer games, and then went back to Boston, drove from Boston to New Hampshire, and did and did a show that night. Could Harry have kept up that pace? I don't think so,
I don't think
but
anybody could.
no one could. And so he was, he was trying his best to be a good father. So, each of the kids have a different perspective of that, because Harry
Hmm.
did too much.
Yeah.
When I experienced, Harry came to my high school in Long Island. I lived in a couple of towns away from Huntington, where he lived. I lived in Plainview, and he came to our high school one day, and with his guitar, and it was in 1974. First time I heard Cats in the Cradle, he played it for one of the first times in our high school auditorium.
Wow.
Um, you
Very
know,
cool.
literally 3 or 4 months before the song came out.
Hmm.
So that was my first experience of Cats in the Cradle and of Harry. You know,
Hmm.
and so he was doing those kinds of things, going to high schools and going to talk to kids and getting them involved in hunger and poverty. But while he was doing that, he wasn't with his own kids.
Yeah.
Right. So even when he was home, he was out doing things. So, Jen Chapin, his younger daughter, reflects on, while he was out, with you guys, he wasn't with me, so she had a much different perspective than some of the other kids.
Yep. Yep. I interviewed her a couple years ago. Great lady. Very great
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah, Jen's great.
What were some of the most moving or unexpected moments you experienced while filming the interviews for this documentary?
Well, certainly, the younger people, and one of the things that we show in this film is the multi-generational. I mean, my kids are in their 30s and 40s. They know Cats in the Cradle, not through me. They know the song. They heard it on the radio at some point, and it sticks with you, right? In one way or another. I think the thing that really surprised me were the young people, who were so affected by the song. People hear the song for the first time. We had YouTube reaction videos.
I saw that in the trailer. Yeah.
In the trailer, people from all nationalities and all generations, and everybody, regardless of your nationality, is affected the same way by the song. That's really powerful, right? That to me blew my mind. And so it was the young people. And then, of course, I think the one that really surprised me more than anything was Dee Snider, because Dee, as he said in the interview, and we put it in the film, he hated acoustic music. Twisted Sister was the antichrist to acoustic music, to folk music. But there was something about that song. And, he, in the film, relates it to his father, and how his father was a cop. He was a hard ass, Vietnam veteran who wanted him to be a professional baseball player. He was good enough to be. And he decided to grow his hair long and put on makeup and become part of Twisted Sister. So, he reflects on that, that in the film, very much. Yeah.
Was there any particular, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So that was a surprising interview.
Yeah. Did any particular story, I mean, and maybe that would be the same one, story or interviewee's reflection hit you in a way that you didn't expect? I mean, maybe Dee's story is almost kind of predictable to hear it from someone, maybe not from Dee, but from someone. But was there a reflection from someone, their story, that you hit you and you go, holy crap, wasn't expecting that one?
Yeah. Well, Dee's story surprised me a little bit, but I'm from Long Island. He's from Long Island. So I kind of knew that. Actually, it was from a friend of mine who's in the film, who's a great singer-songwriter, and does a great version of Cats in the Cradle in the film. I've known him for many, many, many years. I know his brother and so forth, but I didn't know his family dynamic. I didn't know his father, and I think I may have met his father once, but I didn't know what he had been through, and the generational trauma. I learned a lot about generational trauma and parenthood. Generational trauma is if your father was a badass and didn't give a crap about you. How does that affect you as a parent? How does that affect the rest of your life? So it was interesting to hear Randy's father's perspective of what happened to him, because his father, because he had blonde hair and everyone else in the family had brown, he was an outcast, and how that affected him as a father. And he went the opposite way. A lot of fathers do the same thing to their kids if they're treated that way, and that's generational trauma. What really surprised me about that one was that here this father saw so much abuse from his father, horrible abuse, hatred. Father hated him just for the way he looked. But he, as a father, turned out to be the opposite, right? So, that was, to me, was a little surprising, because you think of generational trauma and you think, well, that's just going to be passed along, generation to generation, until someone breaks that chain.
Cycle.
So,
Yeah.
that's the goal. That was a little surprising. Mandy Patinkin's reaction to that song, which he does in his live show, and his story about that was really passionate, much more so than I expected out of him, and how that song affects him as a father, and the emotion of that. That was, that was surprising to me. He got very emotional. Most people get emotional talking about the song. As you see in the film. I mean, they do get emotional. And we lighten it up, and we try to put a lot of humor in there. The other thing that we did that might seem a little fish out of water, but we put it in there for a reason, is the story of Mark Barden and his son. Mark is the CEO of Sandy Hook Promise. His son, Daniel, I did a film on Mark, but I decided to put him in this film, one, because he's a musician. So his story is all about the healing power of music. And it was the opposite story. We say a lot, spend some time with your kids. Time is short. Harry talks about that a lot, in both films. He was almost predictive of his own death, in that, time is short. You got to spend this time. You got to take every moment is important in your life. And so Mark's story is kind of the opposite, where the son dies, in a horrible way. And he was and is kind of the model father. He was the stay-at-home dad, and and so the opposite happens, where time is short, but it's in a way that you don't expect it. So we kind of cover it in different angles, try to give the story. So the song hits people in just really powerful ways.
Why do you think it continues to resonate across the generations? That's what blows my mind about the song. I mean, I used to joke with some of the other rockers I've interviewed, but especially those whose songs have shown up on Guitar Hero back when that was a big thing. We had our generation had all the great music, right? So,
but sure,
there's great songs, and then there's like epic songs, this being one of them. I mean, I have a comment on that, but from your perspective, why do you think this song continues to resonate across the generations?
I think there's two reasons. One, obviously, lyrically, it's incredibly powerful. I think the nursery rhyme aspect of it, makes it, cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. How could you not remember that line? So that line alone sticks with you. And then the rest of the song, and how it kind of plays out. It just there. Sheryl Crow told me a story. She was executive producer of my last film, and she tells a story of she was playing in a concert that Carlos Santana came to, and after the show, he came over to her and said, Cheryl, you changed the molecules in the room with your music. music has the ability to do that. And this song changes you. It changes you from a molecular structure, a standpoint, I should say, where there's something about that song. It's the perfect combination of the music, the lyric, the nursery rhyme aspect of it, because we remember nursery rhymes, So I think it's the combination of all that. It's really a perfectly written song because the music, the lyrics, how Harry delivers it is incredible. But then when you listen to Johnny Cash do it, you go, wow, that could be a Johnny Cash song, and you listen to, Judy Collins do it and you go, wow, okay, that worked, So it's one of those songs where, it's so great by just looking at the number of people who have covered it and how they make it their own.
Yep. What do you hope viewers take away from this film after they see it?
A couple of things. First, obviously, the power of a song and for people to have that connection with music. And that's one thing. The other is to kind of see ourselves in it, as the song makes us do, forces us to do, whether as a child or as the parent now or grandparent, aunts and uncles, So I'm hoping that people see themselves and the film makes them realize we're all human, we're all going to be, make mistakes as parents and adults and as people, and that, we're all the same, and we're human, and I think that's it. It's humanity. And then the message of what Harry did, with this, and the ability to, when you think about, here we are in 2025, and he started Why Hunger in 1975. So we're 50 years later, and you have these organizations that he created that off of the song in 74 that are going not just strong, but are really, really important. And so I'm hoping those factors, come into play for people.
Well, he's been gone, what now? Over 40 years, has it been?
Yeah, in 1981.
That blows my mind. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday hearing the news report on the car radio. And it chilled me to the bone, And then of course the radio was playing this song over and over and over again,
Yeah. Obviously for me, growing up on Long Island, and Harry, coming to our high school and being very part of the Long Island, like Billy Joel and Lou Reed and Pat Benatar, who's in the film, and he was a part of our lives, of our culture. He had really important things to say, and the last person you would think that would die young would be Harry. Yeah. In fact, when we interviewed Billy Joel, who was really close with Harry, Billy in the first film, if you remember, points to Harry used to plug Billy, because, Taxi came out in 72. Billy's first album came out in 71, but Taxi became a hit. And so, he would open for Harry, and Harry would plug him, and Billy would play Harry songs, and, they had that kind of relationship, like a brotherly type of relationship. But Billy thought, and these were rumors going around when Harry died, Billy thought Harry had a heart attack in the car and the car crashed. That's not what happened. And until we interviewed him to that day, he didn't know that he did not have a heart attack. It's not what happened. And but it's hard that someone's so energetic and so it kind of hits you the way when Kennedy was shot, or Bobby Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
or Martin Luther King. It had that same. Wait a second, how that light? How did that go out? So I think we all had that same reaction to Harry in that moment.
I agree. I think that with that song, I mean, it struck me while I was preparing for this interview that, I mean, you and I grew up the same genre, right? Or at the same time. So we had these songs that impacted us that, lit something in us. And that's one thing. I mean, there's so many songs from classic rock that have done that to us. But how many songs out of even that batch can we point to and say, literally? I mean, I hear things like, I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, it changed my life. Okay, fine. That changed the trajectory in one way or another. But how many songs can we point to from that era that really changed people's lives, changed people here at a one-on-one level? I think that narrows it down quite a bit to maybe a select few, if that many. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. We looked at other films that were made on songs, about songs. American Pie was one of them, and American Pie is is memorable to us. I don't know that it changed lives,
Right.
but it's a great song. Everyone remembers the lyrics, and you sing along to it, and it reminds you of that year. And then the other film was Hallelujah, which I think, yeah, maybe, but not as mainstream as Cats in the Cradle. Certainly a great, unbelievable, Leonard Cohen. I mean, and there's so many great versions of it, and a very, very moving song. But I'm not sure that it's totally relatable to everyone, and I'm not sure that the 20 and 30-year-olds would know the song. So I think the closest thing, no one's ever made a film about it, but I think might be Imagine.
Yeah.
But there's not many. There's not many songs that have had this longevity and this kind of importance to it. But I'm hard pressed, to find it. That's why, we knew we can make a feature documentary on this song, because it's not just about a song.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be heretical and say, I'm Beatles fan, obviously. John Lennon and I have the same birthday, different years, same birthday. Love John.
So October 9th is my son's birthday too.
Oh, is that right? Wow. Great kid.
And Jackson Brown. And Jackson Brown.
Oh, that's right. And Sean Lennon too is
no
same
kidding.
day.
No kidding.
But I would dare say it. I'm not saying this to patronize you or the Chapin family. I would say that Imagine offers up a theoretical.
Yeah.
And Cats in the Cradle tells you how to get it done.
Right. That's right.
Because let's think about it. You take care of the family unit. You take care of your relationship with your kids, between husband and wife, because that's implied in the song, not directly, but if you think beyond your nose, you realize you've got to be there for your spouse as well.
Right.
That there is harmony, there is peace, there is a generational impact beyond just giving peace a chance, or imagining something that could be, if you don't act on it, it ain't going to happen. And I would say that Cats in the Cradle goes above Imagine. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, because everybody loves Imagine, right?
Yeah.
Cats in the Cradle tells you, man, it convicts you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
challenges you to do something specific.
Yeah.
And I think it's having that generational impact of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. It's you know, you can it's relatable. You know,
Hmm.
we're like I said, the song is almost about all of us. You know, we've all
Yep.
had a mom and a dad, and whether you knew them or you didn't know them. So
Yep.
there's an effect that they have on you, whether they were the greatest parents in the world, or good parents, or terrible parents, or non-existent parents. You know,
Yep.
there's an effect that happens to you for the rest of your life. And this song kind of points you in the right direction. There is a line in the film, actually, a friend of ours who we interviewed for the film, who pointed out something that I never thought of until he said it, and other people kind of agreed with it. If you follow the story along, the son says, you know, the father's, bemoaning that, um, wants to see the kid, and the kid says, well, the kids have the flu. You know, I'm busy at work. You know, so did the son learn the lesson because he says the kids have the flu, so he's there to take care of his kids? You know, and so there's so many ways. It's a great song when you interpret it to in different ways. You know,
Yeah.
I asked Sandy Chapin, I said, well, did you mean the lyric to be that way? And she'll smile and say, however you interpret it. You know, now
That's
the
cool.
actual in actuality, the real people, the father, the real father, and the real son, the son did not learn the lesson. That
Yeah.
generational trauma continued.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, where can people see this documentary?
So the film will be out November 4th. It'll be on Amazon.
Hmm.
Um, Available DVD. I think it comes out on iTunes after that, but on November 4th, it'll be on Amazon, and $2.99, and there's a lot of music, not just Cats in the Cradle in the film, and great artists, great people in the film,
Hmm.
and I think a really fun and relatable story. There are, of course, sad moments, as you know, but there are moments to kind of rejoice and enjoy, life, and so
Yep.
that's what we try to deliver.
Well, good deal. And it sounds like maybe is it going to be available in DVD sometime after that?
It's available on DVD. You can pre-order it now on
Okay.
Amazon, they'll actually start shipping on the 4th of November, but you can pre-order it now.
Good deal.
And we're
Good
doing
deal.
a big Why Hunger 50th anniversary concert, what I call a docu concert, in Asbury Park, New Jersey, with
Hmm.
some amazing artists that we all know
Wow.
from that area, and that's going to be December 14th.
Oh,
And
wow.
what we do with our docu concerts is we'll show a 3-minute clip, and then we'll do 3 songs, and then another clip, and so it's a concert that tells a story.
Oh, fun.
And we're going to do. We've got a large array of younger but famous artists to artists our age.
Wow.
So
That's a nice diplomatic way of putting it.
yeah,
So,
exactly, exactly.
well, that sounds like
So
fun. I wish I could make it up there for that. That would be
yeah,
cool. But,
yeah,
well, Rick, I will definitely, I'm going to have this out on my YouTube channel, the podcast, and on my website next Wednesday. I post everything on Wednesdays, unless
great.
it's an extenuating circumstance. And so I'll help get the word out. I'll put a link to the DVD so it can be purchased. The trailer will be on the website. And man, I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. And this was a lot of fun, man. Again, I appreciate the time you've taken. And if you got any other fun projects that baby boomers might love to dig into, let me know, and we'll set one of these up, and we'll help get the word
That's
out.
good. We're working on the Judy Collins film, so
whoa, very cool.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, Judy's amazing. Yeah,
but don't forget about me, man. I'll want to talk to you about that one.
Yeah. Before you go, Anna,
Hi.
is it possible can you get Randy a screener of the film? So
Absolutely.
he doesn't have
I
to
believe
wait.
I already shared, but I'll make sure.
Okay.
All right, good deal.
Great.
I appreciate that. And I plan on buying the DVD to help support your work, and however it goes downstream to fight hunger and that type of thing. I believe in having copies of things for my own personal library.
Great. Well, we appreciate you taking the time and having us, and thank you for the promotion. And enjoy the film. Let me know what you think about it.
Will do, and I look forward to talking to you again. My door's always open to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, take care, Rick. Thanks for everything.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Randy. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, will do. Bye-bye.
This has been another fun-filled episode of Boomerocity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quinton Hope. Quinton is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quinton at quintonhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and or its assignees. Inquiries should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.